The Broken, or Krokul in the Draenei language, are former Draenei or Eredar who have been mutated by fell energies. During the Orcs' war against the Draenei at the siege of Shatraf City, the Horde employed a fell red mist in order to weaken the defenders. This mist was created by Gul'dan and the Shadow Council as a fell-infused form of the Red Pox disease, which was in turn inspired by the Curse of Sieve of the Arakoa. Its immediate effects on the Draenei included nausea, choking, and cutting off the access to the light. However, over time those affected slowly mutated, becoming physically deformed and addling their minds. Greater exposure to the red mist, as was the case with Akama, would also produce greater mutations. The Broken also struggle constantly with not losing their minds, and those who do mutate further and become the feral Lost Ones. Another type of Broken was revealed to exist on Argus, the former homeworld of the Draenei. They are the Eredar who did not escape with Velen 25,000 years ago, but also refused to join the Legion, surviving all this time in the caverns and hidden places of the planet. Unlike the Krokul of Outland, these ones mutated as a result of passive exposure to fell energies over the millennia and differ somewhat from their counterparts. For instance, they remain upright and still have hooves, but their skin has taken a fell green tone. Both kinds of Broken have also embraced shamanism as a way to survive and retain their sanity. An unusual characteristic of the Broken as a result of their corruption is that they are now physically unable to access or use the Holy Light, no matter how hard they might try on their own. This is the opposite of, for example, the Scarlet Crusade, who, despite not representing the morality of the light at all, can still use it through sheer willpower and conviction. For the Broken, as was the case with former Vindicator Nabundo, the light does not answer or come to them at all, even after spending months in prayer, and this is one of the main reasons they are discriminated against in Draenei society. Although there are examples of Broken Paladin mobs in Burning Crusade, so this might be untrue. In spite of this, many of them still maintain their faith and hope in the light, even, surprisingly, the Krokul of Argus. Another odd result of their corruption is that even the Broken who embrace fell magic and the Legion, as several on Argus have done, are not then restored and transformed into Man'ari Eredar, instead turning into a corrupted version of their already mutated form. Also, unlike the Man'ari, they are not given important roles in the Burning Legion, often serving as manual labor for the demons. In spite of the efforts of Prophet Velen and Farseer Nabundo, the Draenei often discriminate against the Broken, usually live separately from them, and at times even act with callousness towards them. Originally, the survivors of Shatraf City, who for the most part would become Broken, were welcomed and treated warmly. Over time, however, the Draenei began to fear that the mutation experienced by them might be contagious. The fact that the Krokul, even former priests and paladins, were unable to call upon the light also led some Draenei to believe that their condition was just the punishment of the light for, in their mind, forsaking their duty in Shatraf, where they were quite literally supposed to die in order to convince the orcs that there were no more Draenei to kill. As such, in spite of Velen's efforts, the Draenei decided to segregate themselves from their Broken brethren, establishing separate camps and settlements. Eventually, after Nabundo learned shamanism, he began teaching it to other Draenei and Broken, allowing the two communities to reunite. Only some of the Broken followed Nabundo and rejoined Draenei society, however. Either because they were unwilling or unable, the vast majority of the Krokul live in independent tribes in Outland, with sometimes friendly but often hostile relations with the Draenei, and with the exception of Akama's Ashtongue tribe, who joined willingly, many became slaves in Illidan's army. A group of Broken, under the leadership of Magtor, settled on Azeroth in the Swamp of Sorrows long before the arrival of the Draenei in the Exodar. They arrived sometime between the creation of the Dark Portal and the end of the Second War, and their existence was well known to both the local orcs and to Thrall's horde in Kalimdor. After Khadgar closed the Dark Portal, many of these broken, already weakened by their journey, became mad with homesickness and turned into lost ones. This group turns more and more corrupted over time, becoming increasingly hostile to their former brethren, the Alliance and the Horde, and it's possible, based on the fact that certain mobs did not survive the Cataclysm overhaul, that they've given up trying to return to Draenor altogether. As for the Broken of the Swamp of Sorrows, they initially maintained a tentative neutrality in regards to the Alliance and the Horde, wanting to join the former for protection, but in spite of emissaries from Velen fearing a Horde attack from nearby Stonard if they did. Eventually, after the Cataclysm, thanks to the heavily increased Alliance military presence in the swamp, they agreed to give up their neutrality.